why should mediation be far behind? So both of them will tell us, but of course the wisdom of words from Meena Bansal will throw light on it to see how we can get the help from the judicial system and the judiciary particularly to see that we can bring this dream come true. Mediation, as we all know, came in after the amendment of Code of Civil Procedure. Delhi was delayed by 2 years, started in December in 2006. But as we are used to, we took mediation by storm, notwithstanding the initial setback by the district courts. And everybody was apprehensive at that time whether we will be able to do it or not. We will have mediators, we will have everybody. Anyway, the task was given thanks to the then Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Kazu, and what he then was to accept our request that it will be done by lawyers alone. And the lawyers showed their might, their commitment, their passion. And from 2 rooms, in fact, was 1 room, we petitioned it and got it to 3 rooms. We now have more than 32. It's back to capacity in the afternoon. And what is most interesting is, I'm sure you're watching us notice it, but I say that in sense of pride, the persons going from the extension block towards the main building, or vice versa, would stop there, see the list of 80, 90 matters listed, and would ask, ये कौन सी कोड है? Till they realize it is a mediation center, where they are instrumental in getting the settlements done. And that's the position of the High Court Mediation Center. We are fortunate that we have a great organizing secretary with us. In fact, 2 of them, I see. JP was the first one. And they say if you want to become a warrior or to establish something, you must give it to us a lot. And that's exactly what we did. Always the leader. We worked day and hard, night, and we were able to. In fact, what is interesting to tell you all, that each 7, 8 of us who are members of the committee, who will be judges included, we assign days to each other. Monday, my Lord, this is Sikri will go. Tuesday, this is Salim will go. Thursday, somebody else will go. So that we ourselves see what is happening in the mediation center. What is the activity? How the mediators are performing. And second interesting aspect of Delhi is that I think I myself must have attended 35, 40 trainings. Then we did basic trainings or advanced trainings. All honorable judges who were members of the committee at that particular time sat with us as if they were students. All through. And when we took a delegation from here to our great friend Dr. Sivan Singh at Pepperdine Scouts Institute, I mentioned a matter for Dr. Jack that I would be available in the department. He said, where are you going? I said, we are going to Scouts Institute. He said, we also go. That's how Justice Sistani and my Lord Newton Sanghi were with us. 63.7, the last subject of correction will be done. In all other matters, in IPR we are 83%. And what I wanted to share with you is, so far as Maadhyam is concerned, things have started pouring in now to us. And the success rate today, if I take those few matters that have come to us, is 89%. What is important is not settlement, to ask the question. What is important important is that we were able to bring relationships back of either shareholders or people who are violating patents or doing something else. We all know there is a five-star hotel in such. That hotel had a contractor doing laundry. And because trust was coming, as we discussed in the morning session, our trust is important. The management was very trusty of this man and started doing from initially something less, then new towels, then everything started doing. So you got hired a new shed, got new machines, and hired this, etc. Then unfortunately had to do not go there. The quality went down in conventional. The hotel takes over the unit, pays all his debts, takes the machines. But they were very happy with his own expertise to work on laundry. So he would render the same service, but everything else is now taken care of. This was, as I'm sure we have showing the evidence there, was not possible by activity. But it was possible by this mediation. We are doing well, but we have a long way to go. We have to learn new lessons. I asked this morning from Secretary that both India and USA signed the Singapore Convention right on the first day. In fact, Maadhyam was responsible for the information that we persuaded the government that we would sign this convention. The government of Singapore invited us to be there in ceremony. We all went. What is the reason that why both United States and India are not ratifying that? We as it may, we must find out the reason for it because we are literally going back. Setback comes to us. Because we need to look at all this. Once we sign it, new facets of mediation will come. We find there is a conflict in the statutes. If you see Companies Act as a provision of mediation. So if you say the panel is government of India, India doesn't have a panel of mediation. You see today insolvency. We brought then the administrator abroad was made member of the civil safety. That's how, of course, I'm not commenting on Supreme Court judgment on it. What happened thereafter. Well, these are new things that are coming up. We find today, as you all must have noticed, the latest decision in insolvency by the Supreme Court. They set aside everything. Even after this implementation, they went out everything. Because the one person who was also a competitor, an applicant, had challenged them. Now, if at that stage, I'm sure this is happening, any person there can share it. And there were 3 or 4 applicants, and 3 succeeded. However, mediation is taking a new turn now, even with respect to insolvency. And I'm sure that our teachers, that every 5 years there should be at least a course that mediators must undergo. In fact, before lunch there is a session, the question was raised why you need to be a lawyer. So I do not say anything. You need a certificate or not, because of legal matter. But you still need to know the fundamentals of the problem. Because if you don't know the fundamental law related to that, it will be difficult for you. Ask questions that are relevant. It will be difficult for you to know how to get it. Then ultimately write a certificate. Which is the most important. And I know the things works. And I'm very happy as I can tell you, the settlement will be endorsed by the Supreme Court side. good between JP Singh, me and Neelam. I accept that property number so and so belongs to Neelam. However, Mr. Chindu will develop it, mortgage it, and for that mortgage amount he can sell. I don't understand what is this settlement. So we need to be awake and ourselves to everything that we do. Our settlement should be so good that there should be no chance of another dispute coming in. Then only we will succeed. If we have all done a commendable job, I am sure we will do better in times to come. The difficult times ahead, but I am sure with your passion and dedication that we will be able to perform very well. May I request my Lord, please go on the dais. May I also request subsequent company and others to come. If you look at the number of chairs, Standing people can't hear me. I thought without a mic you can hear me better. Put your voices, please come. Throw us light on what you would like us to do. You want to sit there and do it? I have no problem. All right. Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Well, very good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Maadhyam, KP, Mr. Manjit. Very good to see everyone again. I was just reminded by Mr. Raj. It's been a very long journey. For some of you, you have seen me from having my first kid to my third. It's been 10 years that I've been interacting with Maadhyam and all. It's really been quite a journey. And yet you're still here. I think that's what's amazing. You're not tired of it. So thank you all for spending Saturday afternoon with us. There are quite a few things in my head that I thought I can share with all of you. And yet it's also one of those moments where you have known me so long. I'm also at a loss for words as to what to say. I want to keep this conversation first about all of you, about Maadhyam. Is everyone still in love with mediation? Yes? Yes? Have we been mediating? Yes, very good. So that's a start. Because when I spoke with JP and Mr. Chandyok, sometimes the worry is that when we can't find enough work, if we are mediating, that's what's important. I've been involved in a lot of panels, like what Mr. Chandyok said. I just flew back from, I'm on my way back actually, back home. I just came out of Tashkent, Uzbekistan. It was 2 days of legal tech. The theme of the conference was AI. And like so many law conferences in a new jurisdiction, mediation was the very last topic in a 2-day conference, and I was the very last speaker. But amazingly, like all of you, there were still people in the room, they hadn't left yet. The difficulty that I had was that people were very tired because they had been listening non-stop about AI, and everyone was calling for regulations on AI. Everyone was concerned about will it make our new generation too lazy to do deal analysis and to check what AI is telling us about what is right or wrong? This is not about AI, but this is about then when I came up and I looked at all the tired faces, I decided I had to throw my script out of the window because they were too tired. And if I spoke anything about AI anymore, I think it would have left the room. Which might have what the organizers wanted. But anyway, instead, what did I decide to do? And I thought it works for this afternoon as well. I shared with them that I have listened for 2 days about AI, and in preparation for the conference, I have been reading about AI, so that by that time I was about as saturated with tech as we all can be. And I just wanted to bring everybody back, and I wanted to bring everyone here to the same point that AI is great, it's very powerful, but it will not outshine the human spirit. It never will, and it never should. And that's a big part of what mediators encounter all the time. And that is a big part of why I asked all of you, are we doing the work? Are we loving it? Because it's tiring. Mediating is tiring. Right? And trying to find work is tiring. But I think like what Mr. Chanjo was already alluding to, when we bring people together and we get them to start talking, we unleash a lot of power into humankind. Something which AI will not be able to do. And the world needs that right now. The world needs that right now. When I was discussing with JP and Mr. Chanjo, what do you want me to say that my friends have not already heard for the last 10 years? Well, first they wanted me to share a little bit about where I am right now. So for I think there are some at least who are meeting me for the first time. If you have to see me 10 years later again, good for you. That means that some of your friends here have seen me for 20 years already, right? But those who have seen me for a long time, I first started with the Singapore International Mediation Center, and now I run my little mediation practice, and I call it SAGE. I call it SAGE because I do think that mediation comes alive the most when we try to find wisdom. When we try to find wisdom from our own life experiences, from our own ups and downs, and when we try to find wisdom from the communities that we serve in, and when we try to help our clients find wisdom in themselves to overcome their difficulties. I have set up my own little mediation center. Nothing as glorious as Mr. Chanjo says, you guys have got many rooms. I've got 4 little rooms in my mediation center. And I named them with the names of my children, the Chinese names. One is called Grace, one is called Kindness, and one is called Harmony. And there is a large room called Wisdom. I figured that was a bit more appealing than calling it rooms 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And I had to think about what we call these rooms. It wasn't just about naming them after my children, but for me it was thinking very hard about what are the values of mediation. Right? And a lot like what Mr. Chanjo has himself said, I think settlements are definitely one measure of success. Let me not pretend that settlement isn't important. Right? As a mediator, that must be one thing that we work towards. You cannot make excuses for not achieving settlement. But beyond that, there is a higher purpose for why when we listen to mediation presentations, people will keep sharing that mediation has existed for a long time. Mediation has existed for a long time because kindness, grace, and harmony have always been important. And they are very important today. They are very, very important today because there are a lot of forces out there making the discovery of grace and kindness very difficult. And I would say as well that some of those forces exist within the mediation community too. So, the struggles that I've had setting up my mediation outfit, I've had people tell me, Aloysius, don't bother, you are both friends, no one is going to get you work. I've had people tell me, Aloysius, you don't know the law. And I said, but I studied it and I even got a master's in it. Aloysius, you're a guy. So being a male now makes me not suitable for mediation either. You will be, and this will compare mediators, mind you. It's a tough world. It's a tough world. It's a competitive world. And one of the things which I have learned from having set up on my own is that the worst thing a mediator can do in trying to promote himself or herself is to do this by putting down another mediator. When you do it, you destroy the industry. Don't do it. Right? Because I'm coming from all these jurisdictions now, and I hear so much blaming. Mediation would be better if China was more supportive. Mediation would be better if the USA was more supportive. Mediation would be better if India was more supportive. What is Singapore doing? Don't blame others. Don't look to others. Be positive. What can we do? What are we doing to bring grace and kindness and harmony? And I realized that needed to be my compass. Not just in the mediations that I do, but in the way that I try to promote, not myself per se, but mediation. And when I landed on that, it gave me a lot of comfort in the sense of I'm actually extremely happy. And that's why when Mr. Kanyo came, I was quite frustrated because he just came for one afternoon, a bit like me now. Came back. And I said, no, Mr. Kanyo, you need to stay longer so I can give you work. Because when you realize that the essence of mediation is grace, kindness, harmony, and wisdom, you don't need to be worried about not having work, and you gain a lot of power in sharing work. And let me come to a second sensitive topic that I know has existed since 10 years ago, and we are still struggling with it now. Many of you have spent a lot of money on me. I'm going to admit. You have attended and been tortured by me in Agra. You have come to Singapore and attended courses. You have made better use of your money by going to Pepperdine. You have invested a lot of time and funds to keep improving because Mr. Kanyo is right. We need to keep learning from each other. And you have done it. And it's inevitable, the question is asked, what is the return on investment? It is a valid question. It is a valid question because I have also spoken with many people, I know there is a fear that when we charge for mediation, we risk corrupting it. We feel that it becomes greedy. Shouldn't mediation be a social project? It is good for the community. But then I see the many bases that I've seen here for the last 10 years, and I'm not seeing enough students, enough young people come forward, because I hear the struggles of the young people as well. Until mediation is a salariable profession, something that they can look to that as a dignity, a professional dignity to it, where we can have fees, it is very difficult to renew mediation as a practice. I am very worried. I keep asking Mr. Chandio and JP, where is our next generation of leaders in Maadhyam? I've been working with all of you for 10 years. I want to help you build a new generation, and it's very difficult to attract. I struggled as well when I set stage up. I asked myself, and I had I didn't have the crystal ball. I didn't buy it on its discount. So I started it in late 2019, which is the worst time to start any business because COVID started 2 months later. Right? So I asked myself, what now? Let's just do everything for free, and at least we get something going, we get publicity. I feel that same pressure because I love mediation and I'm always prepared to do it for free. Sometimes I still do. Right? But I also told myself the other big thing which I know Singapore needed, and I think India, not just Maadhyam, but India as a whole needs, because many of you know the other entities out there. For India, for Singapore, for SAGE to be sustainable, for mediation practice to be sustainable, it needs to excite everyone in it. It needs to excite the young, and I need a way to bring the young people into mediation. I need to create a pathway where upon graduation from law school, they know that it's a real path. I can choose to be a lawyer, going to court. I can choose to be a mediation advocate, actively practicing, helping clients go for mediation, and I can choose to be a mediator. I don't need to wait until I have decided to retire from legal practice or from the bench, which tends to be the mindset, even in Singapore. Because the truth is, for a lot of people, if you wait till that stage, they don't have the energy for the challenges that lie ahead for mediation. So I decided we need to charge. We need to charge. And I realized, very strangely, putting a fee to my mediation work is an extremely humbling task. It's the most ungreedy thing to do. Because first, it's very hard to get work when you charge for what a lot of people are doing for free. Two, I had to think very, very hard about what is the value that I'm bringing to clients such that they will pay me for it. It is a very tiring exercise to think about this and to think of how to articulate it in a way that can persuade ourselves and that can persuade our stakeholders and stand up to criticism, because there will be so much criticism when you are the first one to do anything different. And it was extremely humbling. I know everyone was looking at it and saying, this is one bold, crazy young person who is going to suffer his choices. Suffer I did, but I survived. Right? And it was a good journey. And it still is a good journey. Because what has happened now is it's been 2019 to now just over 5 years. And we've stabilized. I'm being invited to Tashkent. I'm here. I'll be going up to China next month. And people are prepared to engage me for mediations. And like I said, I still do it for free sometimes. The difference is now when my clients receive my services for free, they are a little bit more grateful. And what I realize is that it's not so much that they are grateful for me. They are grateful that a mediator has come forward. They are grateful because mediation is now valuable as a professional service. And no mediator was prepared to do it for free then in Singapore, except for no commercial mediator. But I was. They could have turned to a community mediator, but they recognized the difference in value and they said, let's try this. The other model that I tried, I'm sharing with you my business secrets and how I initially started out, because like I said, I started during COVID, a lot of people were hit. One of the crazy things which happened at COVID, of course, was the Singapore Mediation Center, the one linked to the courts, said, oh, it's COVID. All mediations for the next 6 months are going to be free. Mediators who are prepared to do this, please let us know. So I'll do it. And then I went for this, I did my mediations for free for them. And then I was handed a US $10 million case. Both sides were represented by equivalent of senior advocate. So I took the senior advocate and said, I'm doing this for free, aren't you? I said, no, of course not. You're charging. Now why am I the idiot who's doing this for free? Right? We need to give dignity. And then I realized during COVID, the model that I took, I told my clients, if you can't pay me, don't pay me now, but pay me when you can. And I invoiced them, I said, pay me 12 months later. I was stunned when checks started coming in to my office, because I couldn't remember how many and who I agreed to do this for. And even my colleague who was handling finance was like, was just like, because when she was like, this needs to stop, I can't account for these payments. I said, yeah, because I actually wrote them off. But people appreciate our work more than we realize. And that was when it helped, when we realized how much people love our work, how much people need our work, that helps us to love our work too. So, point is, don't charge like 1 crore for your service. I'm not asking you to overcharge. But I'm saying, think of what we would like to do next. Right? And accept the challenges that are going to come, because it's overdue. And the thing which I wanted to share lastly before I pass the time over to Maadhyam. Exciting times ahead for India. You've got your mediation association launched. This next, I would say, 2 years, and this is why I'm here, because I spoke to JP and Mr. Chanjo. This next 2 years will be the most exciting and the most testing times for Maadhyam. Because because Mr. Chandyok and JP are leading this charge, which means that all of you are leading this charge because we are one family. And everybody is watching India. Because like what has been shared, America is not going to do anything much. China just launched an international mediation organization, I think 2 or 3 days back. But India is it. And if India doesn't succeed in pushing forward a concrete, coherent, strong, and accessible set of best practices, and doesn't push forward to have a good mediation act, let me put the burden on all of you. It will have a very big negative effect on international mediation. It will. It will. There is a huge burden. And Maadhyam needs to have the humility to pick up the responsibility for leading this, for learning, and being open to all the other mediation organizations in India. Recently I read a piece, the difficulty is many of you are excited. I heard that there's about 450 mediation organizations in India now, out of which maybe half came up in the last 3 years. We need to work together and get this going as quickly as we can. Because humanity is waiting for India to send that powerful message of grace, kindness, and harmony that we all need to be. With that, I pass it over to Susan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving us. I only wanted to share with you that it is not just everything that we do is free. We have also started doing that. As a Maadhyam, we accepted the schedule given in the Arbitration Act to begin with, to pay the mediations wherever it is possible. But we have a difficulty in India which probably Singapore doesn't have. That many of our disputes are coming out of today, you can clear that. 2 disputes are before me from a Gurdwara. 1 dispute is from a Mandir. So all these years that I've spent in the bar, I've never tried when I've appeared in the court for them because they don't have to charge me. That's one part. You are absolutely right that people are waiting for India to take over. You've also given me a figure of 450 organizations in India. But just taking a hint to tell you, Maadhyam's president is Sawala, the vice president is Sawala. So our numerical number is much higher than 450. That's one part. The second part is that we have learned our lesson how to lead. And I have no doubt in my mind, in times to come, you will just see, we have already opened up a southern chapter, which on 5th of August, 5th of July, we will open up a mediation center in Chennai. We are already ready with another mediation center in New Delhi. I'm sure sometime in August we should be able to inaugurate that too. And I'm only giving you a hint on it that when we started insolvency and when IBC came, a lot of debate saying, well, where will you get RPs? Where will resolution professionals come? We all saw everything is there in place today. They've done a commendable job in some of the matters. I have no doubt in my youngsters that they will come up with this solution, take these challenges, and will lead us for the world to accept that we are the best. In fact, Sukhsimran said while speaking, said this morning also, He has gone across the world, he has not been able to find leaders in any other part of the world but India. So if India has to give a leadership, I have no doubt in my mind that Maadhyam will be in the front. Maadhyam is also in the process of bringing in another federation where we intend that the service providers will come and maybe those 450 of them will come as members of that federation. And then we will be able to take it up further. But that apart, the fact still remains is that I need to bring more awareness. People are not aware of it. In fact, even in the legal community, you'll be surprised. I had a solicitor coming to see me 2-3 days ago from Calcutta. And I have 2-3 eminent people from Calcutta here. And I was surprised when they said that there is nothing called mediation in Calcutta anymore. Now that is our problem in this people. And notwithstanding that people think that we are in Delhi High Court do something else, we have led in the judicial side, we have led in the disposal of cases, we have led in the dispensation of justice, and I have no doubt with the help of all of you, we will lead. And I don't mind telling you this, I'm sure you know about it. In 2012, we had beaten Singapore as on IBC, as insolvency is issued. Soon we will be on the world chart to show you that we have not beaten Singapore, but we have beaten all the parts of the world. May I address Dr. Simran Singh? Look at me. What were the parents thinking? First book and then Simran. And then Kajit. So everything is there in his name itself. Sukhvi, Simranvi or Jeet. And if he is with us, then Mr. Voices I can tell you, Jeet is across the world.
Always with you, sir. All right. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Chandyok for his leadership. This trip for me is to explore the work of leaders of India. And my first person to talk to was Mr. Chandyok. And he defined, I shared this morning, the definition of a leader. And he said the definition of a leader is someone who can feel the pain of others. किसी और का दर्द समझ सके, that is a leader. And I'm privileged to be part of his company and company of the Honorable Dais here and all of you sitting here in front of me. I'm very pleased, first of all, that there are many youngsters in the room. There are law students or new interns or junior attorneys. I can see you. You're all wearing more formal clothing than the rest of us, so we can tell. So thank you for being part of it. So today, instead of giving you a lecture on mediation, giving you a lecture on cross-cultural dispute resolution, how about I share a little bit of private journey? And I want to thank Mr. J.P. Singh sir to promote me, to influence me, to guide me to do that. So I will share 4 failures of my life and 1 success. Especially for the younger minds in the crowd. How can you think about the success part, or the 5th part, after the 4 failures? And what can you take away from my story? And I'll speak for less than 10 minutes. I'll do my best. And forgive me if I make any mistakes. So let's start. Mr. Chandyok has given me the blessing with the mic, with the explanation of my name, so I won't go there. But I'll say one thing, there's a whole meaning in the name. Simran is remembering someone above you, chanting, meditation. Jeet is winning. Sukh is contentment, blissfulness. What does the world need right now? It needs blissfulness, it needs contentment, it needs meditation, definitely. With all the reels on Instagram, we need meditation. And it needs to win on itself. Not on somebody else, but on itself, right? Are you with me? So let me take you on my journey. Just 5 quick points. Point number 1. I was born in a small town called Khanna, which happened to have the largest wheat market in Asia That's the only thing he's known by primarily. But I was born in a family of freedom fighters. My grandfather, Sardar Kaka Singh, was a freedom fighter, died fighting for India. In fact, he was tortured, put in prison, and he had a lump on his back because he was tied with trees at night. And you know why they tie you with trees? Anybody? It was a form of torture, if I may say that. But why would you tie you with trees and not with poles or with... So you break you psychologically. Why? So insects come on your body. Look, all the things Britishers did, and we are speaking in their language. Anyways, coming back to the point, so that Aloysius can understand this. That's why I'm speaking English. Let's blame Aloysius. It's all his fault. So he's my brother. I'm actually very proud of him. He pushed me to make me think about starting something new. He said, go private. I used to work for Pepperdine. I used to work for other institutions. And he promoted me. He said, start something of your own. Listen to your colleagues, right? We are same age group. He may be a little older than me. He doesn't look like it because he's somehow very fit. But he's a little older than me, but he's or same age, and he's very smart. His points today were very simple but very smart. So I was born in Khanna, Punjab, and that was the first inability disability. How so? Because I grew up in a small school, let's not name it, and our primary mode of communication was Punjabi, which led to what? Lack of English speaking ability. So my English speaking ability is very less now. All I speak is Punjabi, not even Hindi properly. So that's the issue. Let's think about it. I'll come back to it. And that too, if you speak a few words of English, it's not in a good accent because you never taught that. How come that become a limitation? I'll come back to it. But that's okay. After that, my dad sent me to Delhi to prepare for law school. But my dad is a military man. He's a very strict man. He was a law professor, director of Army Institute of Law, served as Khalsa College Amritsar principal, a very learned man. So he expected very high from me. He said, not just go to law school, you also have to prepare for IIT. Now, some of my friends may not know what IIT is. That is what Indian Institute of Technology. The problem is not is IIT. The problem is what? The entrance exam to IIT, which is one of the hardest in the world. So I'm preparing for a law exam and I'm preparing for IIT. Now, I don't know what you think about me. I'm not that smart. I'm preparing for both and I call my father. I don't think I can do both, Dad. I can do one. Which one do you think I can do? He guided me well. We had a good chat. But here's the story part. While studying in a nice institute in New Delhi, for the first time I came to New Delhi, I quickly realized I'm very different than this crowd. A, my English was speaking. Everyone was speaking good English in the crowd. B, they were more studious than I was. C, they had a bigger outlook than I had growing up in the village, literally a village. I don't belong to this crowd. How can I get into a national law school, which became my dream? Through God's blessing, elders' blessings, I got into NALSA, National Academy of Legal Studies and Research, Hyderabad. So that's story number 3. Now I'm studying at NALSA. And Justice R.C. Lahoti visits, Justice G.S. Singh visits, and all these legal luminaries are visiting. And you have to write a lot of papers at NALSA. It was a research institute. Very name has research in it, right? Growing up in Khanna, what do you think how many books I've written so far? None. If I can speak English, do you think I can write good English? So now comes the disability number 3. My research is poor. As soon as the first semester results come, I'm calling my father again. Dad, I don't think I can practice that. Why? I got passing grades, were fine, B+, maybe 1 A-. Rest were all B's. All of my friends are getting A++, and we had a state grade called O, outstanding. You need to take that to America. They don't have outstanding grades. Well, I was clearly not outstanding. I did not have a single O. I think in 5 years I got 1 O. That was mediation, ADR, by Professor Ghanshyam Singh. Wonderful teacher. If I'm standing here today, it was because of Professor Ghanshyam Singh. He treated me well. You know, some teachers have a way of lifting you up. I'm the same kid from Khanna, who cannot write well, whose English is poor, and who is out of the world when he comes out. He doesn't know how to work. Professor Ghanshyam Singh looked at me, he said, no, I want to hear from you. Talk in my classroom. What do you think about mediation? He gave me an O because I wrote well, I researched well, sent me to villages to research the child system. It was just amazing, and we are so sorry we lost him. at a very young age. Professor Ghanshyam Singh came to NLU Delhi as registrar, I believe, with Professor Ranveer Singh, another mentor of mine. Let's conclude. This is not the disabilities that I want to share with you. What I want to share with you is what I shared this morning. Here comes the big one, the fourth one at Nalsa. Now I got in, somehow passed the first year. Those of you law students, those of you who just recently passed, 5-year law school has one more element. Not only you have to write, you have to present. Now what happened? Did I write books? Did I learn good English? Was I taught how to act outside of Punjab? Here comes the post-disability, now standing in front of 60 strangers all over the country, Bengal, Chennai, you name it, and international, a couple of students from Africa. And I'm standing there, I don't know how to speak. I developed a phobia, and I started stuttering. Heavy stuttering. I'm sharing these 4 weaknesses with me to bring you to the 5th point, my strength. There was only one strength I had, and I want to leave it as a gift to people who are junior to me in age, not in wisdom, in age. Please listen to me for the next 2 minutes. The only good thing I had, I listened. To who? To 3 people. Forgive me for using the word people, but just to keep it simple. Number 1, I listened to my parents, my father, my mother, my elders, my mentors like Mr. Chandyo, Jeff Weinstein mentors, Dr. Ranveer Singh. Those encouragements are powerful. I'm willing to be someone's mentor here, if you're listening, because that's very important. Mentors are needed. Mentors are very important. And can I push you a little? We need mentors in the same gender as well, and sometimes across genders. But women need women mentors. And men, I need a man mentor. It's just something I don't know how to explain. But it was very important for me to have a father figure like Dr. Ranveer Singh, who was not my father, but a father figure who mentored me while I was in Hyderabad struggling with all these issues. One word he will say, Sukh Simran, is okay, you'll be fine. Made my entire year. One word. And I can't explain what that means to you. So that was number 1 quality I had to listen for the fear of whatever. Number 2, I always had a belief. I always wore turban. I always kept my faith in my faith. You can have any faith or no faith. Have belief in yourself. Have belief in Almighty if you can. Almighty have given a lot to me, and I know for many of you. That takes you to point 3 and last. 3rd point, I did not even know I had. And I'm still struggling with it. And that's the question I'm going to leave you with as mediators. Aloysius just made us think India has a lot of potential. I 110% agree with him. Not only India has the potential, my friends, India is needed. And he challenged us provocatively. You should listen to him. What did he say? He said, I'll be embarrassed. India has to produce something. You guys have to do something. Have quality rules, have followers. Stop criticizing each other, be collaborative, stop competing. He given a lot in that 10, 15 minutes. I think it was 22 minutes. But anyways, coming back, he spoke a lot. I think he could have done it in 10 minutes. But coming, see, criticizing, right? Our mind goes to criticism right away. That's why I want to build him up and tell you, he actually helped me in my private practice. 3rd and last point within point 5. The only person you need to listen to. The only voice you need to listen to. The only clarity you need to have in life. The only person you need to peel layer by layer by layer is yourself. The moment you get to know who you are, the moment you get too close to who you truly are, nothing can stop you, and that's my promise to you. Nothing. You can teach federal judges in America how to speak. Who did that? The kid who grew up in Khanna, who couldn't speak, who couldn't write, and English was his core language. It's the gift of mentors. It's the gift of Almighty. And it's the gift of exploring who you are. So do not tell me, now coming back to my younger friends, do not tell me, sir, I'm in Delhi. Sir, I'm not in Paris or London or New York. Okay? I was in Khanna. Compare Khanna to Delhi. Really, there's no comparison. Go to Khanna and see, it's still the same. Well, change a little. Instead of one lane, we have 2 lanes, but one is still broken. Coming back, I will leave you with 3 questions. Do you truly know what your strengths are? Very important. Know your strengths. My strength was my family, my elders, and my old soul, and I still have all three. My parents live within 20 minutes away from you. मैंने अमेरिका जाके कोई कमाई नहीं की. It's not about money. It's not about status or degrees. None of that. My biggest earning in life, I'm living close to my parents. And they are happy with me. I touch their feet every morning. My father and my mother are proud of me. That is my biggest earning. Nothing else. Nothing else. Everything else falls apart. Yes, you'll go through this age in 30s, you want to make the money. Arnold Palmer, you want to go to Baker and McKenzie, you want to go to, you name it, Gunn, all the fancy names. They'll come to you. I want to make 200,000 a year, 500,000 a year. They'll come to you. Do it. Go through it. In the 40s, you'll realize I need to limit it all, bring it down to one. In 50s, you realize I need to start giving back. In 60s and 70s, you realize life is about none of that. It's about finding peace within myself. And before you leave this earth, you realize it is my family. You know, the longest study in the world was at Harvard University about happiness. I'll end with this. Longest study, 60 plus year study. And they asked the people on the deathbed, and they followed them for 60 years. What was one thing that you wish you knew 60 years ago that you know now? And you know what they said? Unanimously. I think it was 9 or 10 kind of ratio. So almost unanimously. They said, we wish we knew the most important part in life was family, was relationships, was finding yourself. No one mentioned money. No one once mentioned private jet. No one mentioned how many mediations you did successfully, how big, short trial attorney you are. In America, many times lawyers come to me, and then the first thing they tell me, I have successfully, they are very proud of numbers, I've successfully litigated 100 cases. I don't tell them, I smile, and I'm thinking, sir, I come from India, where people like Mr. Chandyok have successfully litigated 100,000 cases. Don't give me your 100 number and impress me. But that's okay, listen to them, insecurity. So I will leave you with this thought. It's about knowing your strengths. Number 2, it's about knowing your fears, what is stopping you. And number 3, it's about clarity. Are you clear, truly, who you are? The moment you get more clarity, get to know close to yourself. Nothing can stop you. Thank you for your time.
Actually, listening to you also, we all got some from you, naming you. I'm sure those of you who have some experience in the bar, or have been in the bar for some time, you will know. Justice Mukta Gupta, last day, was doing a criminal practice. He was standing counsel of government of Delhi. Did all possible difficult cases that one can think of during that time. Was recommended to be on the bench. And I remember somebody asking me a question. And I never shared this earlier. I thought after Susanna I should share this also. But what do you think once she's on the bench? I said, I can only tell you this. I know her from very close quarters. She will come to the bench with a storm, with a civil order. And that little word, I still feel proud that I said it, because she was given an award in IPR by the word order. The 3 words which General Secretary said is right, you think within yourself, what can you do? So we have such scholars with us who have taught us, and we have with us the Lord Jesus Nina Bansal. I've been telling her that I still can't forget. Father was the one who dealt with us. I used to do custodian matters, I'm sure my friend, some of them are there will tell you. And the industrial person was charged with murder with conspiracy. And he wanted me to move the bail application of one senior. So I said, murder matter, why you want to meet your bail? He says, I have faith in you. The importance of my telling you is faith in yourself. And I stood up. The honorable judge was my lord's father. He smiled in the beginning, and Mr. Maadhyam and so. I made 3 submissions before me. It took me about half an hour. Day was done. The entire criminal side people started thinking that I have gotten engaged all the criminal side. It became a talk of the bar room, everything. So I said nothing. I only pointed out the facts. So what it gives me to tell you, we have, and I don't have statistics of 2025, I think I got them in 2020. After COVID and before I got that. That no law firm in the world which had some meaning, meant some strength, was without an Indian law. There can't be a better tribute to the Indian law. Each one of them had an Indian. Whether you want to take it lightly to say कि जुगाड़ होने को आता है, or you want to take it as strength to see that people have faith in us, whereas we don't have faith in ourselves. So what Simran has conveyed to us is have faith in yourself. And on the money part, Mr. Vices said, I wanted to share our belief, our everything that we've been taught. That when God sent me down with a passport and a visa, He also told me what I am going to get. So whether I get it from mediation or I don't get it from mediation, somebody will definitely get it. There will be no doubt on that. And if He has given me birth to be on the earth, He has given me bread and butter with it to say, eat God, I'll take care of it. So have faith in Him. And it reminds me, and Lincoln's Inn, I was speaking in a question answer game, and a girl asked me a question that you are 60 years, 65 years down the line of independence. I think I went narrated somewhere like that. Why you still call your own, that is on my Lord? When you stop copying Britishers? I said, I want to connect you. Britishers copied us. The question we how? I said, in my country, we all believe in respect of caste, color, creed, religion. That you can actually get justice only from God. So when I stand up and tell the Honorable Judge, my Lord, I remind her of him. God has bestowed you this honor. Do justice as probably God would have done. And God is standing ovation. Nobody thought, I don't know how it came to my mind. I can't answer that. Those who have the experience of my Lord is in the other side. I at least not in all this time. Welcome, my Lord, please come in front. My Lord, this Gita, please come in front. So I was talking to her about it. I have never seen her in any anxiety, any pressure. Never seen her raising her voice. Because she has faith in herself. And what is that? I'll have the last laugh. So an eminent honorable judge, and I keep saying this, and I know education, a lot of this becomes also there. It's time that the government and the Supreme Court of India must consider sending our honorable judges maybe for a year or two outside each other high courts for justice. There is no high court in my country where you can mention a matter at 10 o'clock and get this together. No high court. Not even next day. Therefore, let them learn from us something. And I'm sure they will learn mediation also from us. We will teach them both from the bench and from the bar. I am pretty sure time is not far when we shall not only lead our nation in mediation, but come on the international field soon, where you will start recognizing us both in Singapore and US to say, let us look at India, what they are doing, and the mediation process to see. Because nowhere else in the world can you touch the feet of an elder and get a mediation certificate. There's nowhere provided. It's only in India that when we have done it, actually. You must remember our Sapna the Great. A divorced couple comes to our mediation center and she gets them married and sends them back. So this can only happen in India. And with so many family courts now established, we need many more Sapnas. And you people should learn from what she has done and rise to the occasion. Have faith in yourself. And you will find yourself. Well, I don't think there was any day if I had appeared, my Lord, to come into the court and she would say, you are in this matter, why don't you mediate? And many things happen there. Many times it happens. And there are times when you are not able to settle the matter possible. You have resolved 4 issues and 3 remain for the court to at least say, look at the time of it. We are investing into mediation, my dear Mr. Alvarez. And I am sure day is not far when we will leave our dividends. May I request my Lord, your answer to please come. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's my immense pleasure to be here. It's the first time that I'm being invited or being a part of Maadhyam, which is indeed, I honestly would say I was after Mr. Chandra. To somehow, bring us all on board. My concern has been connected to mediation since 2005. And it has been a complete change of minds. While we were absolutely entrenched into law, would decide only as per law, the way forward or a way different was shown only by mediation. It changed our way of looking at litigation. We commenced with the trainers who came from US, and we got some trainings from UK. And then we have done a lot of in-house training. So whatever we have learned is in our own way. We in India have a certain value system and a personality which is more tolerant. We are more God-fearing. I don't know the whole word, but there are certain inherent traits. When we have heard Mr. Eloy from Singapore and from Switzerland, so there is a lot of emphasis on our own personality, on our own value system, which is the biggest strength. There we can be very sure that the raw material in India is the best, where the conflict oriented. We are more resolution oriented. But one thing which I would like to say is that India is one place where we can take the strengths of the entire world and concentrate it in India. We have 450, as he said, institutions which have mushroomed. What I personally feel is we need to have cohesiveness, interactions, sharings, where we are somewhat lacking. We all are working individually and trying to achieve. If we all were to join hands and pool in our resources, maybe we can march forward much, much faster than what we are trying to do individually. The second aspect is that where we have a lot of inherent humane qualities, what we also need to accept is that there are some technical skills and techniques which are equally important. We can't keep on rebelling or saying, I'm so and so, I'm an Indian, I'm the best. But there are certain other, like when we started with mediation, my mindset was, I am the best, nobody can teach me anything. It's only when you get initiated, you realize that there is so much more to learn. The one thing which I felt was a great learning was the communication skills, the way we talk. Here we are somewhat patriarchal. We are at times condescending. It's there you realize that you can't play a parental role and say, I am correct. The person opposite can also be correct. How to communicate is what is one big thing. We have all picked it up from reading, but my concern only is it is somewhat unscientific. What we need is to collaborate, and here is what I have been requesting, sir. We need to have multi-country trainings so that we can pick up different things and come out the best. That's one thing which I feel we need to emphasize on. And the second thing which I have been trying to follow, with my time constraints, I have not been able to evolve. In my life, with all other commitments, is another important aspect of negotiations. We don't understand how to exchange our ideas, how to come to a common platform where we can achieve the maximum. So these are two aspects of mediation where I would request Mr. Chandok if he could facilitate some way that our trainers, our mediators are also given some technical training on these two aspects. Definitely we have the raw material, we need a leadership for which the request is that these organizations, these countries, if we can somehow collaborate and create a platform, those who want to do must get an opportunity of moving forward. That's my major concern. So far as my own experience in mediation is concerned, I definitely have changed from being a little more closed in my thinking to opening up to listen to others are also right. It's not that I am the only one who's all the time right. It changes your personality. One thing I can say that on this path, on this journey, there is never a failure. Whatever two steps that we take, it only empowers us, and there is always a faith forward. There is never looking back when we are walking on this path. And with this few words, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vinod. That's the difference between an honorable judge and a lawyer. One will take longer time, that will give a judgment. You say everything possible there. We take your point, bro. We make an endeavor. In fact, I thought, I must bring your also kind attention that mediators of Maadhyam to Singapore, it's no time for training. Different training, advanced training, leadership training, negotiations, etc. That's where we get also this crowds institute in the United States. We already have a plan.
Youngsters here and all of us at every stage of life, we need to understand that. And that's the only way to move on. And Justice Bansal, when we talk about our value systems, you know, when we were in USA, Professor James Holbrook, I said this earlier, let me tell you that. He said, JP, do you know the difference between an American mediator and an Indian mediator? I said, tell me. He said, ma'am, a US mediator is a settler of disputes, and an Indian mediator is a dealer of disputes. That's when he said our tolerance and our belief in relationships, it makes all the difference. You know, that's why they said mediation. I mean, he kept saying mediation would succeed in India because you value relationships. I mean, none of our neighbors would sue each other merely because his dog transgressed or came into my property. And while in US it can happen. But here it doesn't. Because we value relationships. And so therefore it was, I mean, I'm yet to, I said it in the morning and I say it now, and for all the youngsters here, life is a process of learning. Sir keeps telling all the time. And these opportunities that you get, please lap them up. Because they are not going to come back again. So, thank you, sir, for getting us this opportunity. I think now everybody, I'm sure, would want you to ask the two. Imagine, Allah says, he had this window of 5 hours, and he said, I'll still come. So make the best use of this time. So Simran is here. You can never get him here. Like, you know, I mean, there are people who asked for it. And he gave the example of Amity University, said, look, you are coming to India, can you give us time is advantage? So here, we have them here. Please make the best use of it. Your questions, your queries, you may fill them now. And sir, one more thing that I would like to tell that when you said that when God creates people, He gives them that bread and butter. You know, and that is personal to me, and I'll just share it with you. Justice Jaswal Singh was in court when I started spelling it as SENDH. In open court, he asked me, Mr. J.P. Singh, how has this SENDH helped you? I said, well, I'm not worse off. And then he recited from our Rasa, the evening part that we do. Sel pathar mein jant upaye, taka reject aage kar kare. When he creates Jeev Jantu, when he creates, life, इन पत्थरों में उनके खाने का भी इंतजाम वो वहाँ पे कर देता है. So he said, these things don't make a difference. He is the one who is actually giving you everything. Okay, fine. Here, is there any questions that you have? Please go ahead.
Can you stand up? Take this one.
Want you to tell us how this has helped improve the legal and the business landscape as far as cross-border resolution is concerned, and what do you see as the emerging trends in the future?
Just talk with that, okay? I'm going to stand up because I'm sitting on a plane like the Chandru said. The truth is, Singapore has ratified it, as has, I think, 17 jurisdictions right now. 18 have ratified, or maybe 18, I think 18 have ratified it. As far as I know, nobody has quite used it yet. Thankfully, because that means that the settlement agreements are generally held. What's the purpose? I recently did a seminar, a presentation on mediation in insolvency disputes. And as I was preparing for it, I had to reflect on my mediations in the insolvency space, and I realized what is the difference that the Singapore Convention has made? What is the difference that mediation legislation has made? What ratifying the convention has done is that it greatly lent a lot more legitimacy and credibility to mediation as a process. Because there are a lot of people who don't know mediation, there are a lot of lawyers still who don't know mediation, and who don't realize its power to form a binding solution, not because it's supported by legislation or the convention, but because the quality of the work of mediators is so good that when we get the settlement, parties do it because they see the value of the mediation. When we had the Singapore Convention, this shook up the business sector and the lawyers. But it's not the awakening that is the true benefit. The true benefit of a lot of Singapore's reforms, as I reflected on the insolvency space, is that 10 years ago, when I tried to mediate insolvency disputes, the judicial managers and the liquidators that came forward were really difficult. They basically just came and said, look, we've got a very tight mandate, this is what it is, take it or leave it. We can't go further. And very often, the mediations didn't succeed. Today, now that Singapore has put in our Mediation Act, has put in the convention, what has happened 10 years down the road is that a lot of other industries, first, our lawyers have changed, which is probably the biggest thing for me. Because one reason why I really walked away from the law, even though I studied for it and I did my postgraduate in it, was because I really didn't like the adversarial mindedness of legal practice. But the lawyers have changed when we had the legislation and convention. They were empathetic, even in an insolvency dispute. They could express themselves in a way which made the owners of struggling companies recognize we're not here to do you in. And 10 years down, even the judicial manager was much more empathetic, and I was stunned. I didn't expect a judicial manager to come forward and tell the business owner, I believe your business can recover. Let's try to settle this. You know my mandate is restricted, but I'm committed to helping you. I know people. We finish this, we wind up the company neatly, we work on something new. I like your spirit, let's do something new. But it took 10 years. And to me, when I looked at it, I said, this is the power when we have legislation. Because it gave a lot of substance, it gave a lot of form to what mediation is. And it helped us to change mindsets. It brought grace and kindness into legal practice. You can't imagine it, but it has. And it brought grace and kindness to judicial managers. And I am sure it will bring grace and kindness to many other areas of work, which we used to think is all just cold numbers. believe me, that was my biggest fear for Singapore. We're just so good at trading and being economists. I always fear that Singapore has lost its heart. And so I'm just grateful that this is the power of legislation, that it pushed social change in Singapore. And to me, it's the biggest reason why I would encourage jurisdictions to ratify it. Not because we are fearful or that our settlement agreements need that legal force, no, but because it can create that mindset change in society.
I have a question for you, which is regarding mediation center. Yeah, my name is Maadhyam. I'm an advocate and very blessed, highly blessed to be an associate of Chandok sir's office. Highly blessed is the emphasis applied.
You can tell us the truth when he's not here, but it's okay.
Sorry? Sorry?
You can tell us the truth later when he's not
Yeah, I
here.
just said emphasis applied, highly blessed, being an associate of Chandok sir's office. So my question to you is regarding mediation. Now, as you said that you run SAGE mediation center, if I got you right, yeah? So SAGE is again S with SAGE and S with spirituality and S with Singapore. So you got it right. So my question to you is that as you started, you had a humble beginning from 2019, right? So I want to understand what were the impediments, what were the problems, and what was your fear factor, if I may grab that from Dr. Saab, if I may grab that from him, that what were the fears that you went through while you started it, understanding that you had a huge hurricane in front of you, which was COVID. So I want to understand that, and also if you could balance it with the remnant part, that how do you place an Indian mediation center that starts? How do you place it on a scale when you start an Indian mediation center and when you start a Singaporean mediation center with respect to private centers? That's all. Thank you.
I need more than 10 minutes. There were so many impediments. I don't even know where to start. Gosh, yeah. No, COVID was just one of many difficulties. Competition. I'll say it here, though it's recorded. Please be careful where you circulate it. I had an unhappy former boss. I had staff and I had young children to feed, and I went all in into setting SAGE up. So it was very stressful, and I'm the first to have done it in Singapore. So I had no one to follow. I still don't really have anyone to follow. Half the time I'm just looking around and hoping for Maadhyam to go run faster, then I can follow Maadhyam, but Mr. Chanyu, it's making it difficult for me. So, what worked then, and what do I think will work in India, or what from my thing? Yeah. So I think when I was listening to Mr. Manjit and to Mr. Chanyu, the first thing I want to add to what I said earlier is that I'm asking all of you to consider professionalizing and setting up and charging fees, because I've seen all of you and I've trained so many of you, I've tested many of you, and I know the quality is there. And that is why I say, if you have the quality, don't be afraid to articulate it and push yourself out there. What I think will work, I often tell my friends, when I left the Singapore International Mediation Centre, after about 5 years, I left with 1,000 name cards. Really, 1,000 name cards. Because I had to hire an intern to data entry all the name cards into an Excel sheet. Right? And out of 1,000 name cards, the SIMC had, when I left, 20 cases. It's about 1 in 100 name cards. And I was traveling 3 times a month and knocking on doors, talking to lawyers to get 20 cases a year. So, I often tell new mediators, if you are waiting for your first case, show me how many name cards you have. And you have 99 and you're about to give up, I'll tell you it's because you haven't done your 100th case. You haven't knocked on your 100th door. Because that is the hit rate when we first start out. Don't give up. The good news though, for SIMC, as I have learned, and even for Sage, because we had, is that for any new business, the growth is always this way. So, if you persevere for the first 3 years, when you're knocking on doors and it doesn't seem to come in, it's normal. Because conflicts take time to gestate, your reputation and standing also takes time to grow. And suddenly, when the work starts to come in, it really starts to come in. But you need to have the patience to see it through. So I was just, again, telling a lot of my Singapore friends who gave up. They knocked on doors for 3 years, and then they say, it's not happening, nobody likes me, I'm quitting now. And I told them, thank you to you, because you worked the ground, you tilled the fields, and then you give up now, so I'm going to plow, I'm going to reap the rewards. Because you didn't persevere. So persevere, because the starting up is always tough, but don't give up, and take the feedback. Because, I mean, even for me, like I said, I'm competitors, but I like the competition. In fact, one of the things which I have been doing, and which I have did, is I've been telling everyone, as I'm doing now, set up. I like the competition, because the competition forces us to define ourselves and raise our quality. I adopted JP's son for a month. And my conclusion is to tell him, go back and set up a mediation center and compete with Sage. Right? I gave everything. I showed him how to handle cases. He set in for online cases, in-person cases. I got him to organize workshops, organize seminars, in-person and online. I'm not afraid of sharing my know-how because I'm very clear that the only way that I will improve is when there's competition, is when I get feedback. And I have found that actually the more that I share, the more that I've gotten back. Right? So, Tashkent, my last example. Why did I get this invitation to go to Tashkent? Because during COVID, they got in touch with me and they said, Aloysius, you just came out of SIMC, we want to set up a mediation center, teach us. So I designed an 80-hour program to teach them, to do a train the trainers and to do a mediation center administration course for them. And they remembered it from, this was 2020, and they remembered it, and last year out of the blue, they said, we've seen you online, can you come and do this in person? And we want you to be a consultant for our center now. It was because I did it for them for almost free. Right? So that's partly why I come here and I say, don't be afraid to share, because I have learned in so many ways in my own experience that whatever we give comes back so many times over. And that is really my best tip to anyone setting up a mediation center. Right? I know it sounds strange that I'm saying charge and then I'm saying give, but actually it's not. It's the same thing. If you go back and mull about it, the messages are not conflicting because it's not binary. You can receive and you can give, and that is my big tip for anyone setting up.
Let me just build on that. Can you hear me?
There's another panelist here.
Yeah, Switzerland is India. He's part of JANS. And so question to you, Switzerland. What institutional innovations at JANS, whether now 4 aspects, whether in training, technology, procedural design, or global outreach, would you recommend Maadhyam should adopt to enhance its global presence?
Thank you, sir. JAMS, two things that I really like about JAMS is when I joined the panel, I remember there was a federal judge retired from US federal court, Indian federal judge, and his name is Jay Gandhi. He called me right away, and Jay is doing really well in mediation, like really well. And he said, Simon, I would love to take you out for dinner. I said, sure, sir. Judge, you are very kind of you. He took me and my entire family out to a nice restaurant, had dinner, and gave me 3-4 tips on how to build practice in LA. This is about 4 years ago when I was starting on the JAMS. And so, sir, first thing JAMS does is provide this collegiality, this friendship, this community of mediators who help each other. So I think Maadhyam should think about how to help each other. Some of you have way more experience. Minandan is here, Sarika ji is here, so is Neelam Garan is here. You have, as part of the organization, besides you, sir, and Chandu, sir, so think about how to build this community of youngsters and help them each other. So the next thing JAMS did during COVID, not only they went entirely online, they built an entire new system. So they don't do just mediations over Zoom. They have this platform that you have to sign on to, which is very confidential, because they felt the need to take everything online. And every platform there will be an assistant helping a mediator. So each assistant was assigned, and they put the manpower or women power into these online platforms. So that was a good transition during COVID. I think the third thing they do, which is very nice, they have an internal training department. So JAMS trainers only train JAMS neutrals. They don't go outside. So it's a commitment for excellence within the neutrals. And the fourth thing, which is very close to what Aloysius was saying, all of us JAMS panelists, we donate. So not only, sir, we donate our time for pro bono matters, without asking, we just donate. We have signed percentage of our income to go to the foundation, JAMS Foundation, which helps youngsters. So every year we have 12 to 15 new mediators, young mediators, who don't pay anything. They come to US for 6 months and get training in mediation. So all of us donate our resources for that. So sir, these are some innovations that I found. Internationally, you mentioned, I think internationally they are looking to learn how to expand into markets. I will stop there because they still have way to go. So good question, sir.
Question I have to Aloysius. Singapore has ratified. USA and India, we are on the same boat. They have signed on the first day, but we have not ratified. So, Sukhsinder, my question is, do you feel that this is a handicap in any way for the cross-border disputes in USA?
Thank you. I do not think it's a sad part. I think they need to do it to promote what amazing effort the leaders of Singapore and the leaders of Asia who joined Singapore and around the world, like Saudi Arabia. So it's a sad part. I would say it's a handicap. Yes, it's a handicap. So quick answer, yes, it is. How big a handicap it is, I think we could make it bigger than it is. Here's the reason why. So, sir, recently, it goes back to Sir's question about JAMS and otherwise. So, JAMS gave me permission to develop a practice in Central California. And I told them large clientele of mine will be Indian clientele, because Central California has a lot of Indian clients. So, it's a good news for all of you who are thinking, will commercial mediation will ever be a reality in India? Let me tell you one good thing, at least my little informal study in Central California as a solo practitioner in that region is a lot of both farming community, educated Indian community, business Indian community are opening up to mediation. And they're opening up to mediation pre-litigation. So they're looking at me and they're saying, can we go, we heard mediation is much better. This is pure Indian community, they have nothing to do with. So if I see that, again, they are living in, like Gary, they're living in California, but what is good, they're still Indians, they're very culturally Indians, you can feel that, you can hear that, you can sense that. So that may be forthcoming so do they care about Singapore Convention is what I'm asking. It's a very simple answer I'm giving you. No. They care about how it's still international cases. Many of them have connections with India. They are large business holders. So one of the mediations I was doing over Zoom, the partner of this guy, one of the partners was in Colombia as a country, and one of the partners is in New Delhi, and the third is living in Central California. So mediating between three of them, one in person, I call it hybrid, and two over Zoom. So the idea of this is people, and if you bring up Singapore Convention, they'll be like, what is Singapore Convention? So it can't affect internationalization of mediation as much. However, having said that, with all due respect to all the framers, drafters of Singapore Convention, I think it's more a matter of respect. Why are we fearful of ratifying it? They have put so much time and effort into it. The New York Convention in terms of arbitration has really yielded so much strength to arbitration awards. Why not do the same to Singapore? Why not respect our brothers and sisters in that part of the region for whatever the reasons are? And the question I have is, it's a very rhetorical question, which you may understand, Neeraj. What if it was not a Singapore Convention, it was London Convention, or New York Convention, or San Francisco Convention? Would India and US have not ratified it?
Aloysius, if anybody else doesn't have the last question to you, this is where we need your support. See, in light of Singapore's structured and government-supported approach to mediation, how can Indian centers build complementary framework that allows for private practice with court and government support? What do you think we can, what you've done?
I don't fully understand the question. Sorry. Say it again. I'll say it different. What can India do to build supportive frameworks?
For the private, like you have courts also supporting you.
Well, okay, so the one thing that helped me a little bit was that our Singapore Mediation Act allows the settlement agreements that came through mediations of private mediators to be converted into court orders, right? And this is where the Singapore International Mediation Institute, some of you are also accredited under the SIMI, and if you have done enough cases, you are at the highest level of CB, then if you are the mediator for that case, and even though this matter had not entered the court proceedings, cannot start the court proceedings yet, but you settle it, you can get it converted to a court order. So it's given private mediators some credibility compared to court-annexed mediation centers. The truth, however, is that the courts have not been very supportive for private mediation. Right? So, for example, there are other private mediators in Singapore who have been saying, when the cases go to the court, and the courts will refer them for mediation, but when the courts refer them for mediation, they always say, go to the Singapore Mediation Centre, go to our court-annexed mediation centre. So the private mediators have been saying, why can't you say in your referral form, go to the Singapore Mediation Centre or to a private mediation centre, because they exist. You don't even give that option. Though it is an option, but they don't name it in the form, which has a huge signalling effect to users, right? So the majority of cases still go to the court-annexed mediation centres. So, point is, not very supportive, but we are still getting work. We don't, with all respect to the courts, I was from the government as well, right? The government and the courts will do what they do. We are trained mediators. They have their interests So their interest is to keep things within the courts. The Singapore government interest is to keep things in SIMC. Understand that interest. Find a way to support it, don't push against it. Because you push against that interest, you can't resolve the disagreement. You just become a competitor. Right? What is the interest of the courts? The interest of the courts is to clear the backlog of cases. That is the interest. What can SAGE do? And I've done this maths with a lot of mediators. Aloysius Go working extremely hard, but still needing some rest time to spend with his kids because family is important, can do at best about 80 cases a year, 80 mediations a year. That is nothing for India, nothing for Singapore. And so I tell the courts, what are you scared of? You're scared of losing 80 cases to Aloysius Go? Really? How many? Do you have not enough work? And they don't. And so when and the second thing is, they don't want to clean up the mess that they are afraid private mediators might leave behind. That is the other interest. That is why they control, they believe that they can control the quality when they send it to the court and centers. So my assurance to them is to demonstrate that no, in fact, my mediations are managed and performed in a way which is of a much higher quality than what your court and mediation centers are doing. That's why I'm getting work. And it's proven itself, right? That's why today the courts don't put it in a form yet, but I know that there are many judges who are actually prepared to say, oh, you need this done urgently, then I'll tell you what, I know it's not in the form, but don't go to the Singapore Mediation Centre, go to SAGE. So, we have to help the courts to help us and recognize what their interests are. That is what I think.
Just a quick comment, sir, on tagging along. So the question is, who are the stakeholders to promote mediation further? So I would say, and there are a couple of people I want to honor here in this room very briefly, the two justices we have with us. So I would say the first thing we need to look into the stakeholder is, the first stakeholder, India is exceptional in one thing. I just learned that, confirmed by Dr. Rabir Singh yesterday with me. India is the only country that he and I believe that has a system of legal education called national law universities. There is no other country that have national law universities. They have universities in the law school. So think about, look how revolutionary or creative or forthcoming that is. But the question he and I was discussing, when I asked him, do you know is mediation and dispute resolution is still not a mandatory subject in first year, in second year, in third year. It is an optional subject in fifth year, and some schools have put it in fourth year, and some schools have started teaching it in third year. And I'm saying, man, why not make it mandatory? So these are stakeholders, our young law students as stakeholders who are going to be the future leaders. As the voices were rightly saying, we have to invest in the younger generation. They will be here 50 years from today. Many of us won't be here, right? Now, second stakeholders, sir, we have to think about is legislators. Can we train legislators? So we did a thing in US. I led a conference on diplomacy where I invited 3 ambassadors of US. Ambassador David Carbon, who worked with President Obama. Ambassador Rob O'Brien, who worked with President Trump. And I had a debate between them, a Trump appointee and an Obama appointed Democrat and Republican, red and blue, to talk about how can we heal the nation. And so that was, I actually recorded and I'm happy to share with you for Maadhyam. It was a fantastic debate. They were both very civil, amazing engagement. And the conclusion of the conference, the day-long conference, was we need to involve more diplomats. We need to involve more legislators in learning the skills of mediation, and the way they will promote mediation is once they sit through a mediation training. And I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to bring Rajya Sabha members or so to a mediation, but that's people like you can think about it. The third stakeholders that present here that I want to honor. Do you know Justice Geeta Mittal, Honorable Justice Mittal is with us? Do you know her judgments on transgender rights? Do you know her judgments on lake or water rights? And I can go on and on. I'll be speaking for the next 3 hours. Just highlighting, and I know Lois is a big fan of hers too, and many of us are. You know how much she promotes mediation sitting on the bench when she was on the bench. You know how much honorable judge, as she spoke today so eloquently for less than 5 minutes, is promoting mediation. Judges have a role to play because we are a top to bottom society. We are hierarchical, let's just admit it. If Mr. Chandyok says something, 20 people will follow it. Right? If a junior who's an intern says something, good luck. That's just who we are. So the top people and judges are top people. Right? And if Justice Mittal and others and Supreme Court justices, you know, how Justice A.K. Sikri is next door to media arbitrating today, remember how much he promoted mediation, right? And he co-authored the book on insolvency and other. But we need top-down approach, and that's okay. The fourth and last point I'll make. Fourth is when it comes to advocates or lawyers. In US, there's a heavy training on advocates. You know how the training, and Judge Weinstein has a funny example. He said, when I taught lawyers, come mediate cases to win, some lawyers showed up. He said, I switched the title. How to win in mediation and make money in mediation. He said, many lawyers showed up. So we have to tell the lawyers you can make money through mediation, and maybe that will. And the last stakeholders is Janata, is the people. But don't start with people. People will follow the other 4 stakeholders, because you tell people on TV come to mediation and they go to the lawyer or the judge, and when the moment the judge or lawyer says, "Are you pushing a mediation?" Done. Will they listen to a TV ad or will they listen to a judge? So those some points are.
None. Let me start. It's a great honor that we have my Lord Mrs. Geeta Mittal with us, Mr. Mukta with us, and Shweta with us. May I request first Pooja Anand to come and please give her. Thank you for your presence. Tells us your commitment to mediation. Your presence tells us that we must continue our journey. Ava, will you please come?
Yes? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir. Sir.
It has been a fascinating day, starting with Dave, all our expert mediators, quite some time, but in the air, and here he comes. I'm grateful to both of you for that, who traveled all the way to us. As a matter of fact, your presence with us gives us strength. Gives us further paths that we have to follow. Maadhyam will take them in his stride. You have given us many hints and things to take carry home. We'll do the homework on it. And I'm sure those of my mediator friends who are looking at capital M will soon start getting it. I don't think it is absent, and I want to do all humility of my command. The Honorable Court appoints a retired Honorable Judge to be a mediator, there is a charge. And in fact, on the right of rain, I wanted to tell him, I told him, can you just direct by a judicial order that I can be on the bench for one day? So when mediation comes to me, I can also charge. But yes, time is not very far. I think we are already moving towards we are waiting for, except for Fiti, CII, etc., doesn't have any mediation or arbitration settlement with them. We are still going to be part of them, but they will be part of us. And I also wanted to say that the government's allocation to Bar Association of India, I have completed that building. The internal work is on and is war footing now. I hope somewhere in September we should be able to open up. While arbitration shall be dealt with Bar Association of India, the mediation shall be done by Maadhyam only. And I'm sure all this time, wherever we get that opportunity, we will probably get the capital in with it also. But have patience. Money that you are allocated by Almighty, you are already getting away with it. I don't think there is any problem. Thank you, my Lord, this is not Vincent for being with us. I think I gave her a call and I got her an answer, yes. And see the commitment, I want to request you please consider this. Unless a person has a commitment to the cause of mediation, he would not have found a counsel here or Mittal here, so my request to you is have faith in the process of mediation. Have faith in yourself that you can do it. Have faith in Almighty that He will bless you. And once all that is together, Maadhyam is on the way to lead India to international things. Thank you so much.